Good morning. It's Tuesday, 8th of August. It's 8 a.m. London time, and our regular Tuesday and Thursday market analysis webinars. My name's Anil. Remember, this is for education purposes only and not investment advice. Make sure you read and understand this disclaimer. Trading is risky. You need to know what you're doing. Make sure you educate yourself. Those of you who've seen my webinars before, I've gone through this in greater detail. I won't bore you with it today. So the agenda is market analysis and requests. So if anybody has any requests, please let me know. I'm happy to do real detailed analysis on how I look at charts and how I look for setups, right down to smaller time frames. We're going to have a look at any news impacts that might affect us today and for the rest of the week. And then we're going to have a look at the free plus Zenfinex tools and how I utilize them and how you might be able to get access to them for free. Some of them are really useful tools, and I would definitely suggest you, get the membership. And if you do, it's here's the URL, plus.zenfinex, take a snapshot, whatever. Register later on. Everything's free. I do videos on how to use this stuff. I'm going to focus on technical views and featured ideas, which is basically trading ideas, utilizing technical analysis, etc. And we'll come on to that. But let's go straight to charts. I know that's what most people come here for. So what are we going to look at today? Let's start with our old favorite gold, right? So let's just see if we can't see what's been happening to gold, do a complete top-down approach on what's happening with gold. Let me just make sure everything is running okay. Right, so as everybody knows, I start with the monthly and weekly charts. Let's get rid of our existing lines and start from scratch. And this is the approach I take every single time I look for a trade setup, regardless if I already have lines there, because what I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to see if there have been any changes in market conditions since I last looked at this. So we can see here from a monthly perspective, and I will actually move these right to the high. We'll go to the weekly, and we can see that we've got ourselves a nice little frame on the weekly. I'm going to put another important level here. Obviously, being weekly, it's not going to get there in the short term, but what I like to do is try to get a perspective on generally what is happening from a longer term perspective. Look, it hit the triple bottom, broke some previous highs, came back, retested, created a new high, coming to retest this level here. And the question we have from a weekly perspective, is gold on its way down? Is it going to find some support here and bounce up? So let's now go to the daily. And before I forget, if you have any questions or any requests, don't hesitate to ask me. My whole role here is to help you get a structured plan on how to look for trade setups, rather than just sort of randomly looking and saying, I think the market's going up or down. First step I do is start putting important levels in. And remember, this is from a daily perspective, so we can see here, and put my cursor on, hit it once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, rejected it, right? So from that rejection, it's come back down to another level, which we drew. I think that was from a weekly perspective. And sorry, it's actually from this bar here, from a daily perspective. So now we've got some areas that we can play with. Play with meaning identify precise levels on entries and exits. Remember, I use these support and resistance levels not only as a guide, but they also can be great places for stops and targets. So what's been happening to gold from a 4-hourly perspective? Let's put some channels in as well, because those of you who follow me, I look at support, resistance, and channels. They're the only real things that I look at. And we can see here, right? So since this double top, triple top on a 4-hourly, it's Now, following this channel, it's hit this level of support. I'm just going to tidy this up a little bit here, right? And if I look from a 4-hourly perspective, you can see that prices kind of hit this important level of 19, I think I mentioned before, 1934, 1930 as being important levels. So look, it's hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, supported it. We're back to support. So clearly these levels are important, and they're important because I want to see if they bounce off them or they reject them and continue heading down, because that's the idea that I'm trying to get from a 4-hourly. So what are we here now? We're trapped in this region here. So we can see we're consolidating in this region here. So what we're looking for is a potential trading opportunity, either breaking through this level here and heading back to retest this or this. And remember, what I do is I always do both sides of the trade, a long and short, and that way I don't try to build any biases. I let the market tell me where the bias really is. So we can see here, and I'm just going to go to a smaller time from an hourly perspective. And hopefully you notice how quick it is to do this, right? Because once you've developed a process and you follow that process over and over again, you don't actually need to make this more difficult than it already is. You just follow the same steps over and over again. And what we're effectively doing is we're looking for breakouts on the upside or on the downside. And if it's on the upside, where are its potential turning points? Where could this price go all the way up to here? Or could it go all the way down to here? And remember, these red lines are the ones that we marked up on higher time frames. So they're important. Right now, we're trapped in this sort of very, very tight range here from sort of 1945 to 1925. And taking any kind of trade within this region is problematic, because if it's bounced off here before, it could bounce off here again and come back down, or it could try to break through like this false breakout here. No sooner had it gone back up and tried to get back in this tight consolidation zone. So for gold's perspective, right, you need to wait, or I would suggest you wait until it shows some sort of direction, certainly for the whole of the month, right, August, or certainly from the 2nd of August, it's just been going sideways, doing nothing basically, right? So if it's doing nothing, you don't really want to get trapped inside a trade, because if you think to yourself, okay, I think it's going to go down, right? So you put your short order here, and it could easily come back to here before it continues going down. So you can't tell. You need the market to give you some sort of direction, some sort of clue in terms of, is this downward channel going to continue? And I need to probably extend that channel. So just bear with me for a second, because we're going to use that channel as a potential turning point or a target even. Right, so if it breaks through this level here, put the cursor back on, you know, we can measure the distance and say, is that enough? What are the other areas that are going to cause us a problem for us to reach our target? Well, we've got a small, from an hourly perspective, a small level here. And forgive my drawing, but I'm just trying to do it quickly for you so I can go to other instruments as well. So in a very short space of time, in less than what, 4 or 5 minutes, right? What we've done, we've gone from a monthly, weekly, daily, 4-hourly chart and have mapped out our trade idea, right? So this is how I look at any instrument, whether it's a stock or whether it's an index or whatever, because the markets will only be doing one or two things. It'll either be consolidating, going sideways, or it will be trending and breaking out to another area, basically, right? So we've already seen that it's creating lower lows. So the mathematical probability is that it's going to go down, right? But because we're trapped in this quite large range, if we just took a short now, right, we wouldn't be able to get enough distance. Look, put it a different way. If we just randomly put a short, because based upon, you know, the high, you know, the higher lows, lows after this resistance, you know, yes, you could do that, right? But look, it has a potential of going all the way back up, or if by luck, and this is where you don't really want to have luck in your trading, is the distance from here to here, right, is too great a distance for your stop loss, right? Because if you're going to take a short, you've got to find a level where you're going to place a stop loss. And if you put a stop loss just above this range here, we all know about the fake outs, right? It could go hit your fake out and then stop you out and then continue going down. So this is what you've got to arm yourself with: tools and patience, and determine whether you want to just take it right now because you feel that it might be going down. Not good enough. You need something more concrete than a feeling, right? You need evidence. You need distinct direction, because once it breaks, it will continue breaking down, right? Once it breaks out this range, there will be a breakout. So you have to wait and be vigilant. And, you know, the other thing that if we did just go short, look, it could hit here. So there's a chance that it will give you a lot of pain in your short trade, right? And it's not worth it. Let it do what it wants to do. There will be a breakout, because there always is, right? You know, no matter how long you look at these charts, look, even here, I'll just show you that once it looks like it's going sideways forever, right, it does break out eventually. And when it breaks out, it gives you enough distance to, you know, grab to the next level. Although I have to say this level probably wouldn't be here because we put it as a result of this level. So, you know, as it started charging up, plenty of profit, use trade manage to stop, you know, have some stop losses behind you. And that's how you can play this. So, like, you know, it's a really simple way of looking at charts. It goes sideways, which is exactly what it's doing now, but knowing that at some point it will break, right? That's what you've got to wait for. And you've got to guard against these false breakouts, right? Because look, this is not dissimilar to where we are right now. We could see our double, triple top. We saw the higher lows, and we see the consolidation. We go short, and look, it pumps you out, knocks you out, and then goes in the upward direction to revisit this. So this is where you've got to be a little bit careful of trying to be too quick about getting in. And remember, those of you who watched my videos before, I always look for the retest. So even just looking at this, broke out, temptation is just to jump in. But look, if you wait for the retest, you're going to get a much better entry, and your stop losses are going to be much better. So this is no different to this, is it? And that's what I'm trying to explain here, is that these repeating patterns do exactly that. They just repeat themselves over and over again. And what you have to do is learn patience. Patience for when it breaks out, patience for when it retests, and patience for it hit a decent target, which you know, are going to be sort of the major higher time frame levels. I think that's any questions on gold. We'll have a quick look at news, because the other thing that affects gold quite a lot is news. So let's just have a quick look at some of these plus Senfinex tools. And let's look at, where is it? Just see if I can find it. 1 second. I think it's going to be this one, not this one, sorry. Let's have a quick look at our tools. I'm going to have to go to this one level here. And here it is. So the point I was trying to make was, okay, we have a question. Do we need a large term trend before taking a trend? Look, Raj, great question. So I don't necessarily, so remember what I do every single day. And I know you've been here many, many times, so you know the format that I follow, right? I follow support, resistance, channel, right? And once I see the channel, and let me try to describe it on the chart to you so you can see that, because truly all you're going to do is learn this, right? We can see there's a downward channel. Is it definitely going to go down? No, we don't know, do we? We need to see if there's a breakout. We already see where it could go to, right? We can see that might come to here, and where it might have some difficulties. Equally, we can see that it might come down to here. If I go to a 4-hour time frame, might be able to explain a bit better, right? So we can see here that even though we're in a downward channel, right, from a 4-hourly perspective, right, is it going to guarantee to come down to this level here, right? Don't know. I don't know the answer. Nobody knows the answer. So while we're trapped in this region, I don't have a particular bias. Yes, I can think to myself, look, this channel probably will continue coming down and head back to 1982, but I don't know that. I can have an opinion, but I want to see actual price movement, and price movement will always tell me which direction it's going, right? It's just the way the markets work. I hope that answers your question. Do we need large term trends? Yeah, if it depends on your time frame. If you're looking to do like an intraday trade from an hourly perspective, right? All I would do, and I do, is look for the consolidation area, look for the breakout for the consolidation area, and look for the levels on a higher time frame to try to grab, utilizing trade management to make sure that I move my stops and targets in the right direction. When I say move stops, I don't mean make my stops bigger, I mean make my stops smaller. Simple as that. Even though visually we have a downward momentum, I don't know, because of this consolidation, whether this whole downward move now has come to an end, right? Because remember, again, with all my other videos, the markets will either be going sideways or they'll be trending. What are they doing right now? Going sideways. Where's the next trend? We're going to have to wait and see until there's a breakout. Yes, we may get a false breakout, but we have to be vigilant for that. But once we do have the breakout, we really do need to try to capture as much of the distance as possible, right? I'll cover sort of risk to reward a bit later. Could you please discuss levels also on gold breakout from current levels? Right, so here, that's what I'm talking about. This is gold right now. So let's have a conversation, right? The conversation is very simple. And I'll go to a 4-hourly so you will be able to see. And when I talk about conversation, what I'm trying to do is, gold has a story, right? Here's the story. It's a page on a book. It's telling you everything you need to know, right? It's telling you, let's talk about the conversation. It reached a high here. It reached a low here. When it reached this high from a previous high, it came down. It came down, broke through this liquidity here. Let's draw it in. So there was probably traders who were trying to take this trade long from a longer term perspective, and they may have, as part of their trade management, put their stops here, right? They got taken out. So they didn't capture all this move. They got stopped out here, right? So then what happened? It bounced off here, couldn't get past here. So understand what I'm saying. I'm having a dialogue with myself in terms of what is actually happening. So although they look like zigzag lines, the story is pretty clear. It broke through it again, right? And look, it used this level that it broke through all the stops as support. Support broke down. Now it's resistance. So all these things, these patterns repeat themselves over and over again. So is the question, is it going to go down? Now, it's unfortunate we have this, and let's magnify this so we can see here. It's unfortunate that we have this long candle here, but it is there, so we can't ignore it, right? So for me, the range that I have to get out of before I will take a trade is above, on the long side, 1947.50, and on the short side, 1925. Do remember though, if it just, don't just jump in, right, when it breaks out. Let's just make sure. And I know you've seen these before, so probably what will happen, it'll probably do this. Note, I'm using the word probably. I don't know, nobody knows, right? But if you use probabilities, right, that's the breakout here. And on the upside, breakout, retest, and then heading back. And those of you who've been here before, you know, you'll see the same lines over and over again. Take the first bit of target off here and get out here, basically, maybe just, you know, a little bit below there. So I hope that answers your question. That's how I would play this. But right now, I would not take a trade. I wouldn't even put a limit order that says that if prices go below this level here, go short. If it goes above there, more often than not, it will pick your order up and take you in the completely wrong direction. You probably have noticed that happening before, right? So, okay, so you've put some numbers in here. Let's see what your numbers are. 1974. Yeah, I don't know what those numbers are. Sorry. Not sure what those numbers are that you've written in there, but that's how I see it. And I was going on to talk about any news and maybe part of what the consolidation is. If we go to news, right, if we look at Eurodollar inflation on, what day is that, on Thursday. Let's look at the whole week, and that way we'll be able to plot, you know, and that's the other part of it. It's consolidating for a reason, right? It's consolidating because it wants to see how US inflation will affect gold. It's going to, isn't it? It's just a fact, right? So I expect this consolidation to continue on gold for a couple of days. It may have a breakout prior to that, but generally speaking, right, until that inflation number comes out, I doubt if gold will move much more than that. So what you need to do is to be vigilant at 1:30 London time when the inflation rates, the initial jobless claims comes out, and that's going to have a high impact. Because if we look, and those of you who haven't seen these tools before, right, if you look at what happened July the 12th when inflation was less than expected, it shot the price up. Unfortunately, we don't have gold as one of the instruments we can compare, but we can use gold as a proxy because you know, it's not too dissimilar. The dollar is affected by that, and so will the euro. So it gapped up, went 183 pips on the euro dollar. So you can see the news coming out on Thursday on inflation is clearly going to have an impact, right? So that's also the reason why gold is consolidating, in my opinion. It's not going to decide either way, right, until that news comes out. Yeah, it might have some sort of, you know, moves up and down. It may try to sort of get here by Thursday. I don't know the answer. But with, in just 2 days' time, you know, some inflation numbers coming out, I'm not going to be interested in taking too much in terms of large positions, right? I want to make sure. Let's just make sure we've got that. Yeah. Let's put the right. Let's look at Thursday one more time, right? So these inflation figures are going to have an impact. We've got PPI in Japan tomorrow. Hang on, let me just get rid of all these. So this is today. Not much happening today. So I don't expect much action necessarily, although we may get some action in New York time for the indices. Nothing much happening on the Aussie and the Canadian. Hopefully you can see all these, what I'm looking at. And then Thursday is really where the action is going to start. And let's see what happens on Friday. Friday, I'll just look at Friday by itself. So UK, we're going to have GDP, industrial production, GDP, all important numbers. So this week's going to be important for the British pound, and also for the dollar and the dollar index for Thursday. So the charts in conjunction with the fundamentals of news is what's going to really help you, be consistent. So the question you ask, do we follow a longer term trend for take and trade? The answer really is you have to weigh up other factors, including things like important news and important levels that we are at right now. Are there any more questions before I go on to what should I look at next? Do you want me to look at more charts, or should I look at some of these tools here? We talked about it very briefly. We've got, let's put this in. This is technical views. So let's see if there's any gold analysis on here. Let's see. I think this one just does Forex, actually, to be honest with you. Yeah. So those of you who've sort of signed up for the free ZenFinex Plus membership, take a look at around the different tools that we have. There are videos on how to use each and every one of these that I've created. And, they're all there to help you and give you a bit of an understanding. There's some videos from traders, and the one it's probably my favorite is Economic Insights, which is the calendar, which is what I always go to. So we've got another 10 minutes. Do we look at some more charts? I've got a feeling the charts are going to be a bit stagnant until, let me just see if I can let's look at the indexes. There may be some interesting stuff going on the US indices, stock indices. Right, let's do again a top-down approach and see how the indices are behaving, because everything's interlinked, right? So let's go to monthly. Right, so we're coming up to sort of all-time, I say coming up to, there's a few hundred points there, but it's been strong for the last 2-3 months. Remember, this is the monthly. It's got the weekly. If I squeeze down a bit, same approach, regardless of the instrument, because exactly the same thing happens, in my opinion. So we can see here, look, resistance, 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 resistance. We can see an upward channel. Let's put some more lines in. I might go to the daily to produce more lines here, but let's just put this previous one here. Why have I done it here? For these 3 weeks, it couldn't get below this level, and it's also interacted with this previously. So clearly an important level here at 35. It's probably nearer 33,600 as I'm doing it from a weekly chart. If I go to the daily, prices came down, bounced off it, and now we can start tidying this up a little bit. So now we've got ourselves a range, and just like I did on gold, right, we can see a clear channel appearing. Right, so that's all it does. Goes sideways, uptrend, downtrend, in a channel, important levels for it to be either target or stops. So we're crowded in this area here, right? So let's now squeeze that a little bit, have a look at it a bit more on a 4-hourly perspective. And we can see here, so we've got our resistance levels here, we've got the top of the channel here. And now if I look for this consolidation, so if we just use this area here, and if I then go down to back to the daily, we can see quite clearly that after this up move, hit the top of this channel, hit some resistance, and now we're looking for not a dissimilar thing to gold, right? We're looking for the breakout. And I'm doubtful whether we'll get much movement on this until Thursday when inflation numbers, because we all know inflation is a key indicator. If inflation actually has increased, I'll come back to the inflation and see what they're projecting. But we can see here, the markets are telling us, right, that the market is going to wait until that news comes out. And if I go to sort of an hourly basis, although we have, quite a large range here, we could find short sort of intraday trades here, which I generally don't do, but, then you're playing resistance and support, selling off resistance, buying off support. A bit more dangerous because, although for the next couple of days, it's probably the way to go, because I don't think there's going to be much of a breakout. Back to the daily, you can see here, came down, bounced off here. Is it going to come back and resist this level before it comes down? Or people always smile when I say, so are they going to go up or down? Well, I have to wait till it gives me the clue, because again, I'm trying to install in you a process. Sideways action. Right, so we had this consolidation here. It broke out, came back down, retested it, and then it went on its merry way up to the top of the channel, or to the top of this resistance line. So you have to be patient, right? Draw these up on different commodities, different currencies, and just look for the breakout, but don't take the breakout. Take the retest. Again, same thing happening right now, right? It's going sideways. We're waiting for news to come out. It will break out and create another trend. Is it going to go up or down? I don't know, but it will definitely let you know. And that's what you've got to keep your eyes open for. Be patient. Don't just try to say, okay, we're in an uptrend, or the channel is an uptrend, let me just buy, because that's not going to be sustainable. Obviously, there's lots of other tools you can use, in terms of short-term trading and what have you. But regardless, it's all about getting as many pips or points as you can possibly get from a particular move, because you don't want to just be taking little bits at a time. That's going to be, tough. Let's have a quick look at the euro. It seems to be moving a little bit. Let's have a look at the euro. It's been moving down for the last few minutes. Yeah, let's figure out what that is. So again, let's go to the daily. So let's put some major lines in on the daily perspective. And look how crudely I'm doing them, right? Because I will tighten these lines up once I get to the small time frame. So what I'm really doing is just trying to find important levels as I see them immediately, right? So this is acting as resistance support, came back down, and look, it's coming down from a daily perspective. But let's have a look at 4 hourly. We can see on a 4 hourly, we've got this whole consolidation area here. Right, so then if you do go to the 1 hourly, right, this is just noise within the hour. Yes, you can trade that, but if you're looking for maximum sort of movement, right, let's go back to 4 hourly. Let's try to tighten this up a little bit where we can get within that, because let's look at this smaller consolidation here and see if we can't find ourselves a slightly shorter term trade in amongst here, right? So that's what seems to be happening right now. Price is looking to move down And what we're looking for now, and this is where we're playing the trade within a larger consolidation area, right? So let's see if prices will come down and break through this level here, right, to head back down to this level here. Obviously, we don't want to do anything just yet. We want to see what is happening. So from an hourly perspective, it's just broken through these levels here. So it's showing that either it's picking up this liquidity, right? Because look, what happened is prices went up, came back down, went back up, hit some resistance. Remember, the dialogue that I'm talking to you and talking out loud is the dialogue I have every single trade I do. I talk to myself and say, okay, resistance, support, broke through this level here. Is that going to continue, right? Or is this just taking out the liquidity around here, right? Is this, you know, a level which might be interesting for the bounce? You know, we'll see. We'll see if it's going to break through here and break through here. But if it breaks through here and we get a retest, we've got an intraday trade that could potentially, and remember, this is just purely for education, that could come back down and retest the bottom or the lower part of this. So this is where we're trying to play an intraday trade within you know, this larger consolidation area here, or the larger sideways action that we've got here. Is there any questions? Okay, I think I'm up to almost my 40 minutes now. I just want to make sure that you have this URL. And you know, have a look at the videos. I do these webinars every Tuesday and Thursday, and hopefully what you'll see by coming to these every single Tuesday and Thursday, it's the same, you know, it's the same process. And process is what you want to develop. You want to be able to do the same thing over and over again, right? Have I done anything different to what I've talked about, right? There's like a channel here. Let's draw that channel in. Right, it's broken out the top of the channel. Is it coming back into this channel to continue going up, or is it going to break out, you know, and give us, let's see, it's a euro dollar, so let's see, 63, you know, 50 pips or something like that, 50, 60 pips, something like that. However, you know, we've got to be careful of this consolidation area. Look, so it's all about these mini consolidation, breakouts, consolidation, breakout, and that's what you're going to be constantly looking for, because they happen everywhere. So that's how I play my trades. Okay, look, if there are no more questions, keep an eye out, by the way, for this and see what happens. Maybe I'll leave this chart up and we'll have a look at it later. But and I'm just looking to see if there's any more questions, by the way. Is there any more questions? I'll give it another few seconds for any questions, and then I'll call it a day, and then we can have a look at seeing if this breakout, the problem with this breakout is that if it breaks the upside, it's got all this mess that it has to get past before it can get up to these levels here. Probably more on the downside, but you've still got this important level here that's got to break. So there's not much in there. But do take a look and see if it helps you. And I think that's about it for today. I'm just looking at any more questions. No, that's it. Okay, thank you very much for the session. So I've enjoyed it. Same thing over and over again. Process, develop it, practice it. Take care.